You don't have to have a ton of money to create a cozy kitchen space. Our kitchen is filled with vintage finds and thrift store decor that I have collected over the past 12 years that we've lived here. And sure, we've made some updates in our kitchen along the way as we were able to afford it. But I think that what gives our kitchen the most character are those one-of-a-kind pieces that I have found at thrift shops and antique stores, cutting boards, my copper collection, things like that. You know, those little items, don't underestimate them because they really do tell a story. And that being said, you guys know that over the past couple of months, we have made some big changes. This blue stove that we got last fall is really what set it all off. Here's what the kitchen looked like when we first had the blue stove installed. And something about the blue just really had this vintage feel that wasn't like vibing with the more modern hardware that I had. And so anyways, it kind of turned into a domino effect. I started off by switching out all of the hardware at the very beginning of the year to like a really pretty antique brass pole. I got these off of Etsy. And then a month or so later, we went and looked at some new countertops and I picked these out. It is honed granite and I have a whole blog post about them. They are absolutely beautiful. They're really meant to look like soapstone. But once the countertops were installed, of course, you guys know I wasn't a huge fan of the slate that was here when we moved in. Slate is beautiful, but this particular slate was very colorful, had lots of different colors in it. So we took that out in March, I believe, and we replaced all of the slate with these beautiful hardwood floors. And we stained them the same color of the flooring throughout the rest of our house because we had recently refinished all of those floors back in 2021. So we still had the stain, and of course it just turned out absolutely beautiful. And so that led to another project that I've been thinking about for a long time, and that is a hood vent, something instead of the cabinets that are above that beautiful piece of wood that we put in place of our microwave. And today I'm going to show you how we created this hood vent for $0. We used materials we already had and it turned out so beautiful. I could not be more happy with it, and I just can't wait to show you the process and how it all came together. Alright guys, so like I said at the beginning of this video, we spent $0 on this custom hood vent. We used materials that we already had, which was so awesome. And if you've been following me for a while now, if you've been subscribed to my YouTube channel, you know that most of my videos are about frugal homemaking and thrifty decor and how to save money. And so I thought this was the perfect opportunity to tell you about a new free app that we just discovered. We're loving it. It's called Upside. So the free Upside app gives you cash back on essentials like gas, groceries, and dining. So there are actually over 100,000 gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants on the Upside app, which means cash back is always right around the corner, and it's actual real cash back. This isn't a reward system or a weird credit system or points or anything like that. It's cash that goes directly into your bank account. To find out how much you can earn, just click the link in my description below and download the Upside app and use my promo code PINE and PROSPECT. This is gonna get you an extra 25 cents back on every gallon for your first tank of gas using the Upside app. After that, you just need to claim the offer for whatever it is that you're buying using Upside. You're just gonna pay as usual using your credit card or debit card, follow the steps on the app, and then get paid. It's that easy. I've already redeemed my first offer using the Upside app. All I did when we recently went grocery shopping, I searched for which gas stations were on my Upside app for that area, and then I went ahead and got gas at one of the gas stations on the app, and I've already redeemed the cash. It's such a simple process. It makes complete sense if you're looking to earn a little bit of extra cash. And in fact, about $1 million is being earned each week by Upside users. So for us, we sort of live in the middle of nowhere, right? Sometimes we have to drive over an hour to get the groceries we need if I want to go antique shopping or maybe just some home decor shopping in general. Usually it's over an hour if I want to go and do something like that. And so for us, it just makes sense to use the Upside app, type in the search at the very top where we're going, where we plan on heading, and then just look at the surrounding area for, gas stations and restaurants so that we can get that cash back on our purchase. Top Upside earners are making as much as $300 a month. That is crazy. And if you want to find out how much you could be making, go ahead and click the link in my description below, download the Upside app, and use my promo code Pine and Prospect. I will put that code here on the screen. I'll include all the details below, and I'm also going to put up the QR code. That way you can easily scan it for all of this information and you can get started using the Upside app as soon as possible. I know you guys are gonna love this app. Imagine all of the thrifting you could do with that extra cash back. So make sure you click that link in my description so you can learn all about Upside and get started right away. All right, so like I said before, there were 2 cabinets right above the beam that we really didn't use a whole lot. I think we had 1 or 2 items inside of those cabinets, so it wasn't really necessary to keep those. And in typical Andrea fashion, I'm always baking something when Mike is in the middle of a project in the kitchen. He's always laughing at me. But we went ahead and popped off this crown molding first, which we thought we were going to put back up. That didn't end up working out, and I'll share why here in a second. And then Mike just took the beam down that we had up there. We put that up after taking the microwave out, and you can see here that we have like a ventless hood system, very similar to what a lot of microwaves have on them. It doesn't need to vent out. I can link it for you on Amazon. But Mike is basically just building a frame using some beams for the sides that we had in the shed, some scrap beams that we pulled from that barn, and then a front piece as well in order to screw the front beam back onto that. He also added one to the back for it to come out just a little bit more, which I loved because now I can hang like pots and pans off of that. So after we did that, my mom came over and we cut out all these different designs for like corbels on the side of the beam because I didn't want that cut edge showing, if that makes sense. And so you can see she hung a little tea towel on the beam as well to give us an idea. I don't know, are we the only ones like this? We are such visual people, my mom and I. We have to see it to know if we like it. And so this was just so helpful to tape the paper right on there to decide what we wanted to do. But next, my husband went ahead and created a frame at the top of the ceiling, and then he added some boards to the middle there. We just kept the cabinet up there. And that way he had something to nail to for like the arch in the middle of the vent hood, if that makes sense. You'll see here in a second. So a lot of tutorials that we looked up online used either thin plywood or Luan, or sometimes even drywall that you cut in a million places so that it has some bend and give to it. And Mike said, well, we have all this extra beadboard. What if we just use that? I mean, it's very similar to thin, a thin wood like plywood or Luan. So we had to play with the arch a little bit, but here's where we ended on night 1. I just sat there looking at it. I took a picture and sent it to my mom. But the following morning, Mike went ahead and added some nailers to the sides as well. You can see the pieces there on the side so that he would have something to nail the side pieces to. And essentially, he started off by adding a piece at the top, and you can see he's just nailing these in. And then for the sides, he went ahead and held the board up and then just traced the arch that we had already created. So you can see here it made like this perfect little side piece that is going to cover the beam. It has the corbel detail that we wanted. And yeah, it was a very simple process. It was much easier. I think we finished this project in like 2 days. We couldn't believe how simple it was. We had talked about it for so long and it just came together so quickly. Sometimes the hardest part, I always say this, and so does my husband, the hardest part is just starting, just getting yourself to start the project. But once we started, it really went so quickly. So you can see here, he just kind of traced the shape onto this beadboard. I know, so random, but we are frugal people, so why not use what we have? And then he primed it all so that the mud that I used would have something to kind of grab onto. So here's the primer we used. It's Zinsser Bullseye 123. We love this primer. We've used it a million times. And then I just used some joint compound that, again, we already had in our basement. And I just took a putty knife and spread it all over the hood very randomly. I kind of wanted a rustic finish. I didn't want anything super smooth looking. I wanted it to look a little bit older. My mom used this technique in her house on all of her walls, actually, and I thought it looked really cool. And so you can see there's like no rhyme or reason to it, but I definitely took the paint off, the painter's tape, off of the hood before it dried completely, just because I didn't want to pull the joint compound off of the hood after it had completely dried, if that makes sense. So anyways, I didn't paint the hood. I actually ended up really liking the color of the joint compound once it dried. It's partially dry in this shot here. You can see there are some wet spots. It's almost like a grayish, creamish color, just really pretty, and it got lighter as it dried. You'll see here at the end, and you can also see that for the beam, I ended up sanding some of this off because I think I went a little too heavy, but I took the joint compound and worked it into the beam, because in a lot of really old English cottages, this is kind of what you see. And I just wanted something that looked older and unique. I haven't really seen a hood vent like this, and I wanted something just a little bit different. So here's kind of what it looked like the following morning, now that it's all dry. You don't see that variation as much in color, and the crown molding was a little bit too wide to put back into place. So Mike went and grabbed some more of those beam scraps and put those up there, and I think it actually turned out kind of cool. Now, I actually love the look of an open plate rack in an English cottage kitchen. I feel like I love English cottage style, and I see these in almost every kitchen whenever I search English cottage. So my thought process here is I'm wondering if, now that we have this big hood vent, if it would really help to open up those cabinet doors on either side of the hood and turn those into open plate racks, something like this. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm explaining it properly, but basically each cabinet on either side of the hood vent would be open, and Mike could build plate racks, and it would be right by the stove. We could just grab a plate and serve up the food. Anyways, just another project for my sweet husband. But so I wanted to add some artwork in the kitchen. I tried this piece first. I used my rub and buff to give the frame a little update. It wasn't quite right there, and so I decided to actually try that beautiful oil painting that I purchased in Germany. I don't know if you guys remember this one. I purchased it at a flea market when we were in Germany last spring, and I actually really love it here. I think it's beautiful. I've always struggled with this little area in the kitchen, and so I put that there, and then I decided that it was probably time to add some spring stems in the baskets above my refrigerator, and to maybe bring in more stems over here near the stove area. Still kind of playing with that. I don't want the area to be too cluttered because I cook here all the time. But this is how it all turned out and came together, and I think it is a beautiful addition to our kitchen. I think that it really adds a lot more character, and I am just very much in love with it. So you guys will have to let me know what you think. It was so simple. If you have been on the fence about building one of these, it really was very simple to put together. I really love the artwork in here. I think it's the perfect piece. I think it's a little bit more on display here in the kitchen than it was over in the dining room. And it's just such a beautiful painting, and I love pieces that have meaning, and every time I look at this painting, it brings tears to my eyes because that was such a special trip for our family. And since I spend so much time in the kitchen, I think it's perfect in here. This is how the beam turned out. I really think it's lovely, and it's actually more prominent now that it's sticking out further. And then I love the beams underneath as well. So if you peek under, you can see that I have some pots hanging here on the beam. I just used some little cup hooks to screw up into there, and I think it works out perfectly. And I love that the beams here on the cabinet sort of tie into the beams on the ceiling, and it's all just looking really beautiful. And I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful for my husband, who is willing to make these dreams a reality for me, and I don't take that for granted. I know so many of you have told me how blessed I am to have him, and I know that I'm very blessed. And so anyways, I just always enjoy taking you guys along on our decorating adventures, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some inspiration for your own kitchen space if you love this style. If you know of a barn that is going to be burned down or destroyed, run over there and try to steal a bunch of beams first. No, I'm kidding. Don't try to steal them. But if you have permission, we have just used these beams over and over and over again in our home, and I'm so thankful for that friend who let us use them. But our kitchen is a place where I spend so much of my time, and it's not just for looks, it's not just for Instagram, it's truly a place that I want to be beautiful because I spend so much time in there. And so this is something that I've talked a lot about before on my channel. You know, cooking, washing dishes, those tasks may seem mundane, but when we surround ourselves with a beautiful space that we have collected and curated, it makes tasks like that so much more beautiful and meaningful. And I thought I would end this video with a quick little recipe for you guys. I make this all the time in the spring and summer, and it is so good. I just cooked up some quinoa, and I'm adding salt, pepper, olive oil. You want to let the quinoa cool down a little bit on this particular day. It was warm by the time we had dinner, which is perfectly fine. Add some honey, some cucumbers, tomato. We've added sweet corn to ours before. Avocado is delicious. And then you just want to add the juice of like a lime, or in this case I just used an orange because that's what I had on hand. Mix it all up, and it is just the most delicious spring and summer salad. We love adding feta cheese crumbles to it as well. Very Mediterranean inspired, but it's just so good, you guys. Oh my goodness, you have to try this. We eat this all the time this time of year. And I just served it up with some grilled chicken that we had in like a Greek marinade, some roasted asparagus, and yum, so good. I love sharing recipes with you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing the process. Hopefully creating your own custom hood vent doesn't seem so intimidating after watching this. Let me know what you guys think, and let me know if you think I should turn those cabinets into open plate racks. Do you guys like that idea? Maybe you'll be seeing that change come here to the channel very soon. Who knows? But it's always fun taking you guys along with me. And if you're new here, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time. All right, bye-bye.